All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining us, and thank you for joining another one of our Kneat webinars, Kneat Insights webinars. We're very happy to have you here today. We're going to be talking about the AI advantage in pharma. We're joined by not only SMEs from Kneat Solutions, but also from our partners at Veqtor, here to talk about boosting validation efficiency using AI in your digital validation. So we're happy to have you here. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. We're happy to see you. Let us know in the chat over to the right side of your video. You have a chat box. Let us know where you're joining in from. We love to see our global audience. Let us know if you're joining for the first time or if you're back again. We're happy to have you either way. So say good morning. It's morning for me at least, so I'll be saying that. Just a few housekeeping things if you haven't joined us before, or maybe it's been a while, but welcome. You are in listen only mode, so we do recommend using earphones or a headset to listen for the best audio quality on your computer. You will be muted. You can't join us. You can't talk to us, but the best way to interact with us is in the chat there. Marcin's from Boston. Hi, thank you. Thank you for joining in. So go ahead and put in that chat any of your thoughts, any comments you have, anything you want to let us know. John from Limerick, Ireland, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Excellent. We got people coming into the chat there. Perfect. So feel free to interact with us there. If you have questions for our subject matter experts for our presentation this morning, don't use the chat. We don't want it to get buried in there if people are chatting. Right next to the chat is the Q&A button. You can put your Q&A, your questions in for our experts anytime during the presentation. We'll come to those questions at the end and answer as many as we can live with what time we have left. But don't worry if we don't get to all of your questions. As long as your name is associated with it on there, we'll have one of our Kneat representatives follow up after the webinar. So we'll send you a personal email, answer your question, make sure we get it answered by our speakers today, and get that answer to you afterwards within a couple days after the webinar. So feel free to put in those questions anytime. We'll also be running 2 interactive polls during our webinar. So that third tab over on the right is the polling tab, is the polls. Go ahead and click on that. We have 1 poll running now to see where you are on your journey to digitizing validation, rather. So you can go ahead and answer that question now. We'll come to those answers in a little bit, and then later on we'll have a second poll that you can follow up on. We'll have a survey going out at the end of the webinar today. Your follow-up email, whether you attended or not, we'll include that survey link. We really appreciate your feedback, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. But if you have a question after the webinar, maybe you're watching the recording, or you want to follow up, give us some feedback on our webinar separately, you can always email us at info@kneat.com. That's info at kneat.com. And that feedback, like I said, is super important to us. We're always happy to hear from you. So quick stop on our copyright disclaimer statement here, and then I'll talk about what we're going to hear from today. Like I mentioned, we're joined by 2 great subject matter experts talking about AI, pharma, and digital validation. From Kneat Solutions ourselves, we have Daniel Tobin, a senior product owner, joining us. We're happy to have Daniel, I believe, for the first time on one of our webinars. And then, like I mentioned, from our partners over at Veqtor, we have Peter Gordon joining us. He's the Digital Innovation and Technology Lead over at Veqtor. Again, I think another first-timer on our webinars here, but we're happy to have Daniel and Peter joining us. We'll hear from them in just a little bit. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kneat as a company and Kneat Gx as a software solution. So bear with me if you are familiar with those, but I just want to go through them quickly. Then we'll hear from Daniel some highlights from the State of Validation survey from 2024, specifically around AI. And then we'll hear Peter's featured presentation and then get to those questions at the end live. So stick around for that. I want to stop here first on our first poll. If you haven't answered already, go ahead and click into that polling tab. I'll leave this open for a little bit. But just to see here, where are you on your journey to digitizing validation? So we've got a few options here. Are you starting today with this webinar? This is the first you've heard about it, and you're jumping into digitizing validation and AI at the same time. It looks about 15% of people say that they are so far. So that's great. We're glad to see people jumping into digitizing their validation, and hopefully you'll see some of the benefits of that coming up soon. But I know this is going to be a bit more of an advanced topic with AI. So look out for some demos, some other Kneat Insight webinars talking about that. We've got initial discovery, some prep work done, some discussions done, but you're still finding out about it. About 40% of respondents so far have said that, and these numbers are shifting a little bit, but that's the majority are on their initial discovery. So that's great. You've heard about it. Maybe you're familiar with it. You want to get more information on the benefits. Perfect. This is going to be a great webinar for you. We've got about to launch your first digital validation project. You've got discussions done. You've got your prep done. Maybe you've just launched your first one. You have one going, one project that's digitally validated. That's about 16% of our respondents so far. So that's also great. And then our last option here, D, some projects being delivered digitally, maybe one or two, but you're considering how to scale, maybe out to multiple facilities, maybe throughout your whole company or your organization. And that's about 25% of our respondents so far. So that's great to see. So a lot of people all across the board, but mostly in that initial discovery and considering how to scale. Those are perfect. We're happy to see that. Again, none of this disqualifies you from the webinar. You're still going to get some great benefits and information here. We just like to see where you are. So I'm going to keep that one going for a bit in case anyone is straggling behind a little bit in the live. They can still answer that. And then we'll come to our second poll a little bit later on. But first, I want to talk about Kneat Solutions as a company. So Kneat is a global organization. We're headquartered in Limerick, Ireland, but we've got operations all around the world. Myself, I'm calling in from the US. I'm just outside of Washington, D.C. I've got colleagues in France, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Canada, all over the world. So we truly are a global company. We're a publicly listed and traded company listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So not only do we hold ourselves to a high standard of governance, but we're held to that as well by investors and by being a public company. And because we hold ourselves to those high standards, we are the top digital validation platform of choice for 8 of the top 10 global life science companies. And that includes 3 of the 4 COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers. So, in action, if you need a product to market quickly, right first time, and validated, those 3 of those 4 vaccine manufacturers have trusted Kneat for that. So it's a proven product. But not only them, we have got 40,000 plus users in our software as a service platform with 100 plus and 100 plus customers across 350 plus locations around the world, and 40 plus certified global partners such as Veqtor, who you'll hear from today, and other partners who have joined us in our marketing webinars. And those pluses are important because Kneat is constantly growing. We are constantly moving. I can't update the slides often enough, so we've got to put those pluses in there. All of our development for Kneat Gx, our software as a service or solution, is done in-house. There's no outsourcing, and that's for maximum quality of the product, making sure that we have a hand in how it's developed and all the features that go into it and how it's being done. But that's also for security, making sure that your data is secure, our data is secure, and that we're being held to those standards of data security. That's really important to us. So we keep ourselves ISO certified, the 9001 2015 ISO certification and the 27001 certification we keep year round. And we're very proud of our information security there. So that's about Kneat as a company. Kneat Gx is our software as a service validation life management platform that digitizes validation from end to end, enabling regulated companies to make validation easier, faster, and smarter. So that's the marketing copy. What does it really mean? It means all of those paper-based solutions you have for validating your manufacturing processes, for double-checking your steps, your equipment, all of that was previously done on paper, your tests that were run, your signatures that were acquired, all of that is now digital. So that can be accessed, looked up, edited, approved, tested, all through your smart devices. Could be your phone, could be a tablet, could be your computer. Anywhere with an internet connection and your credentials to log into your workspace, you can do all of those lifecycle management processes on your smart device. And that means you're audit ready at any time because you can look up all of your previous data. You can gather electronic signatures from anyone, anywhere in the world if you have multiple sites, maybe across the world, just like we do. All of that is done much easier and faster because you don't have to lug around all of that paper. You don't have to think about storing it. You don't have to think about keeping it secure. All of it is kept in the cloud, secure and safe for you. And that is pretty much why 8 of the top 10 global life science companies trust Kneat. It's one platform that works for any work process. It's simple, it's audit ready, it's easy to use, easy to train, easy to scale because it's all available from a smart device. And it's proven to reduce cycle time, skilled labor hours, validation costs, and proven to increase right first time and speed to market. All of those various metrics and KPIs that your company looks for can be found with Kneat, and those aren't just our words. Those are things that we've put to the test. I won't go through all of these. Safe to say, all of these are great numbers. These are results that we've seen with customers such as Merck, Biogen, Fujirabio, and Elevate Bio. And these aren't our numbers either. These were found in independent customer studies. So you can go onto our website after this webinar, look up some of our case studies. You'll see 85% cycle time reduction, 50% process step reduction, 40% more efficient than competitors in our customer pilots. You can see those case studies, read them for yourself, and see how people have used Kneat. And we'll hear a little bit from Veqtor today about how they use Kneat as well. So now that's all done, I've talked about Kneat, I've talked about Kneat Gx. Now I want to make sure we get to the meat and potatoes of why you're here. So I'm very happy to bring on our SMEs that we've talked about, Daniel Tobin from Kneat and Peter Gordon from Veqtor, who will talk about AI in pharma and boosting validation efficiency through AI. First, Daniel's going to talk about some of the 2024 State of Validation Survey results that we got around AI. But Daniel, Peter, so glad to have you guys with us. Thank you for joining us, and take it away.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm delighted to be here. So as you mentioned, my name is Dan Tobin. I'm a senior product owner at Kneat. I'm going to be talking about the 2024 State of Validation Survey and Report, and we're going to be looking at some of the facts and figures that have come from that. So before we jump in a little bit about it, it's its third year, and it has 23% survey response growth from 2023. State of Validation is an annual global validation industry study, and it's the first of its kind in the validation industry. It includes qualitative research insights and showcases trends to illustrate the evolving dynamics in the validation industry. And it's the only available and actionable industry dataset that enables regulated companies to reference, benchmark, and enhance their validation programs, teams, and technologies. That's a little bit about it. It's authored by life sciences industry expert Jonathan Kay. He's a Harvard University alumnus and co founder of one of the first online medical market research firms. It has oversight from validation subject matter experts at Design Group, ISPE's Paperless Validation Subcommittee, Neat Solutions, No Deviation, and PCI. The 2025 State of Validation Survey question set will include a section on AI integration and validation. So be sure to scan the QR code here to register your interest in participating in the 2025 survey, or just visit thestateofvalidation.com/survey if you're interested in that. So looking at the survey participants then, there's a broad range of representation in the survey. Companies that varies in company size, experience, job function, location, team size. Most of the respondents, that's 38%, came from enterprise companies operating with 5,000 employees or more, with 30% of companies operating at medium-sized level, and that's between 100 and 1,000 employees. The largest group of the 2024 respondents, that's 36%, reported 6 to 15 years of validation experience, and there's only 25% with 0 to 6 years. So we can see from this there's a high level of respondents with great experience, and 89% of them are working in the life science industry. So fantastic to get that kind of response and experience coming into it. If we look at the question set, then there's 5 key areas that are focused on. The first one is people and organization. That looks at topics like organization size, industry, experience, team size, outsourcing, things like that. Number 2 is goals and growth, and that looks at both professional and organizational goals, including KPIs, business strengths impacted by validation and rewards. Number 3 is validation programs, and they look at structures, work processes, CSA adoption, ROI, as well as any key challenges and opportunities that exist for improvement. Number four, industry change and digital transformation, and that looks at key drivers of change, so things like remote audits, digital transformation impact, benefits of digital validation. And the final one is the future of validation, and really that looks at the adoption of industry or Pharma 4.0 and the evolution of and the potential disruption to the validation industry, and includes things like technology trends as well. So, really getting to the core on those different question sets that are there. But most importantly, the findings. So, really, the state of validation, it presents a comprehensive overview of the current state and future direction in validation practices. Some of the key findings highlight the increase in workload on validation teams, things like compliance burden, audit readiness, as well as data integrity. They emerged as the most significant challenges. And then concurrently, there's a strategic focus on creating process efficiencies, enhancing audit readiness, and harmonizing processes across sites. When we look at the adoption of digital validation systems, I think it's started to be recognized now that it's not a trend, it's a long term shift. Data integrity and continuous audit readiness are prioritized benefits of that as well. And the survey also underscores the significant move towards remote regulatory audits and a nascent growth in adoption of industry and Pharma 4.0 technologies, as well as some positive trends when we come to CSA processes adoption as well. The AI machine learning then have also been highlighted as a new technology that's most likely to be utilized when we talk about the validation, future validation industry as well. So this really drives home what we're going to talk about today, that the respondents that are there are very keenly interested in AI and machine learning. So I think, James, we have another poll there coming up in terms of how we're going to get some information from people in their current AI journey.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, so we do have that poll open. It's been open for a little bit, so we've got some responses in. But if you haven't already answered our AI poll, go ahead and click into the polls tab and give your response here. So we want to know if AI is currently being used in your validation activities. So it looks like a majority of people, a large majority, 70% of respondents so far have said no, but they're planning to implement AI at some point. 4% have said yes, so only a very small amount of our respondents are currently using AI, and about 30% are saying they're not considering it. Again, those don't quite add up to 100. The numbers are shifting here, but we do see a general trend where people are not using AI currently, but they plan to implement. About, like I said, 68% now. 5% are saying yes, they are currently using AI, and 27% are not considering it at all. So great. I'll leave that open to get the final numbers in here. But Daniel, Peter, that should give you guys a good idea of where people are sitting with AI currently.
Perfect. Thanks, James. And I think that kind of leads us on very well to the next slide, because the survey state of validation, really the data kind of reveals people's sense of expectations when it comes to that kind of technology trends and the shifting landscape in the validation space at the minute. So we can see here that the year-on-year comparison, it really showing a shift in the trends, where in 2022 people would have said artificial intelligence role was mainly in manufacturing. If we look at 2023 and 2024, then the focus has shifted to a more broad application of artificial intelligence and machine learning across the validation industry. So we have a lot of people out there that have interest. 70% of respondents are saying that artificial intelligence and machine learning is most likely to be utilized. I think what we'll find is people are working towards the use cases that they want to pick, and how they want to implement it when they do choose to implement it. So I think that's an important thing to note. And brings us on to the validation industry evolution then. So, in answer to the question, how do you see the validation industry evolving over the next 5 years? I can tell you that we found out through the survey and report, data analytics and predictive modeling and collaboration and information sharing almost doubled to over 40% from the 2023 results. And then greater use of machine learning and AI in the validation process was the top answer from people who are already using a digital validation system. I think that sets us up nicely to hand over to Peter Gordon, Digital Innovation and Technology Lead from Veqtor, to talk about the AI advantage in pharma. But before we do, to get your hands on a copy of this State of Validation 2024, You can scan the code here, or you can visit the stateofvalidation.com to download your copy and get the full details of just the summary information that I was talking about today. So I'll hand over to yourself, Peter, and you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Dan. And thank you, James. So I'm going to speak today about the AI advantage in pharma, boosting validation efficiency. So, well, I'm Peter Gordon. I'm Digital Innovation and Technology Lead in Veqtor Solutions. I have a background in automation. I've been working in the life sciences industry for a little over 7 years, but I've been focused really on AI tools for the last year and a half. And we've developed an AI powered digital validation tool that we'll take a look at later on. So what I want to hopefully everyone will learn from today's presentation is to see the evolving research AI evolving from a research tool to a practical solution in pharmaceutical validation. How the validation space is perfectly positioned to maximize the efficiency gains from AI. Current challenges with widely available AI systems specific to our industry, and an actual real world use case of AI in life sciences. So Dan touched on it there. AI is a fantastic technology, but it's all about the use cases. So I want to just give a little bit of a background around AI in the pharmaceutical industry. So it's very much at an early stage, and a lot of the advanced models being used in pharmaceuticals is around drug discovery and development. But we're seeing that change with the trends that we're seeing in Kneat's report and trends in industry at large. That adoption is slowly growing. In 2021, the FDA saw a tenfold increase from the year previous in regulatory submissions for drugs that use AI in their discovery. So in 2012, just to give a little bit of a timeline around this AI development, so we saw the initial introduction of AI for drug discovery. In 2015, we saw IBM Watson supercomputer being used for oncology. So there it supported personalized treatments by analyzing patient data. 2020, we saw AlphaFold 2 from Google, predicting 3D protein structures, which is a notoriously complex problem. 2023, we saw AI being used for clinical trial optimization, so streamlining clinical trials, identifying patient cohorts, improving trial design, and more towards our industry and our specific niche of the industry, AI is meeting digital validation. So in 2024, we're starting to see AI being used in conjunction with the digital validation to increase efficiencies. So the development of the large language model, some of the attendees here might have heard of this term before, but it's really the shift change in AI technology, which occurred about two and a half years ago. The large language model was actually invented in 2017 by Google, but it was only really adopted and brought to the mainstream 2 years ago with the advent of ChatGPT. So the advent of this large language model has revealed enormous opportunities in the area of pharmaceutical processes. So in combination with our move to digital validation within pharma, so having all our information digitized is putting us in a perfect position to leverage the power of this new technology. There are challenges, of course, that come along with this. So a lot of people might be familiar with OpenAI and ChatGPT, and there's a few other tools like this available, widely available. They're currently in a chatbot format, so they're very open-ended when it comes to user interface. They've got a demonstrated strength across a wide range of tasks, but the issue is that they're not focused on specific tasks and trained on specific areas. The chatbot format is too open-ended and unsuitable for use in industry, so you can type in anything and get anything back. It to be used in our industry and for our specific use cases, it needs to be a more guided use of AI to leverage the advantages and not get the disadvantages. There's no guarantee of data privacy. These large organizations have made promises and made strides in this area, but really there's no guarantee of data privacy with the way these models are set up. And finally, there's no domain expertise in the pharma processes and digital validation processes. So today we're going to take a look at one specific use case. So it's an equipment qualification, and it's an IOQ test case generator. So this is something that we've been working on for about a year and a half in Veqtor, and we've got it to the stage where we're in the middle of validating the tool, and we have completed accuracy studies to evaluate it against other models, which we'll see a little bit more detail of in a minute. So we're calling it Nexa, but what is it? It's a web application, so it's available everywhere and anywhere that you have an internet connection. It's hosted on a private segregated cloud, so the entire instance is completely isolated. So there's the guarantee that there's no possibility of data leakage or data from one organization being used to train a model for another organization. We've combined it a focused training data set. So we worked for a number of months developing a proprietary data set that is based on previous test cases and the knowledge and expertise of some of our senior C&Q engineers. We've combined that training data set with an open source large language model, and hosting it on that private segregated cloud, we end up with our trained large language model. So the workflow of how this application works, so as I said, the chatbot interface is not ideal, in our opinion anyways, for this particular use case. So we'll just take a look at the workflow. So the user uploads their user requirements, their equipment information, and that gets fed into what we're calling a document ingestion engine. So this essentially takes the documents in and understands them, understands the context, understands what information is relevant to particular user requirements and what information is not relevant. That information is then passed to the AI model, and within a minute, the test case is generated. We've also included a human check on the output to ensure that the output from the generated test case is complete and accurate. So I believe we have the demo here now. James, could you load it up for us? Great. So this is Nexa, our web application. So as you can see, you access it through the browser. And for this particular use case, we're going to look at a single-use bioreactor from Thermo Fisher. So this is the PDF document. So it's the equipment manual for that particular piece of equipment. And a colleague of mine drew up a user requirement specification for this demo. So what we're looking at here is a series of process requirements. So we're going to zoom in on URS 1 and 2. So the bioreactor should have the capability to agitate the contents of the reactor at 20 to 40 RPM. And as URS 2 is actually quite similar to this, it must have the ability to do this at a 50% fill volume. So I'm going back into the application here now, and I'm using my user login, so it's fully secure on the front end as well as the back end. And the user is greeted with a dashboard. So the user goes ahead and starts a new session. And then there's an option here to drag and drop files in, or you can click to open up a submenu to add the documents in. So this is my PDF of our equipment manual. So I'm going to go ahead, click here, and I'm going to add in the document. Here we go. I'm going to upload that document, and then I'm going to go back to our user requirements and copy in the specific requirements that we want to test. So I'm going to copy in the bioreactor should have the capabilities to agitate the contents. And we'll see here in a second, we'll get a confirmation message to say that the document has been uploaded successfully and the document ingestion engine understands that document. So that is completed now, and I'm going to enter my user requirement into the text box, and I'm going to add the second requirement to that. So just going to copy that in. And what we'll see after I click this is to give the user context and more information around why the model generated what it did. It shows the users the particular chunks of text that it extracted from the document that is relevant to that particular use case. So they understand what information has actually gone into the large language model to make it generate what it did. So here it takes maybe 15 seconds to actually generate the test case, but we'll also see some tools that the user can use to get more information around why it generated that test case. It's going to show those previous text chunks and to give it more information. So we see at the top just a warning that it's an output from generative AI. Please review for accuracy and completeness. And we can see that in Veqtor, this is a format that of a test case that we're familiar with and we use a lot. So it's a table format. It's got the bar to set the agitation speed to 20 RPM. In our test step, our expected result is the bar to set to 20 RPM. It includes things like using the tachometer. It includes things like tolerances. That's all identified by the model. That's important as part of the test. So we've got here the human verification. So we're not able to actually copy that information until we've verified that the human has checked it for completeness and accuracy. In the table as well, we'd also see. I'm going to paste it into Excel. So we can bring it into Excel, and what we're hoping to do is to work with Kneat to make essentially a send to Kneat button, where we can just automatically send it to a section group template within Kneat to have that seamless interface between this application and Kneat. And so if you had a paper-based process, you could do that as well. So that's the demo of Nexa, and what I'd like to talk about now is the accuracy. So as I said, earlier we completed an accuracy study of Nexa. So we evaluated against gold standard applications, AI applications that are out there already. So ChatGPT 4.0 from OpenAI and Claude 3.5 Sonnet from Anthropic. So we also wanted to evaluate it against a human also. Our philosophy around testing is, so we went with 48 test cases, range of equipment types, range of user requirements. So we wanted to see, could it reliably generate complete and accurate and relevant test cases for a range of equipments and user requirements. So what we'll see here is the different equipment types that we went with. So wave bioreactors, pH meters, conductivity meters, things like that. And for the purposes of testing, we went with commercial off-the-shelf equipment as the equipment information was readily available and there was no issues around IP when it came to this testing. Our philosophy around scoring the accuracy, so we said it got a score of 0 if it was completely not usable. It got a score of 1 if it was okay but needed minor modification. 2, it was ready for approval. And 3, intelligence identified. So this was a harder one to pin down, but essentially it got a score of 3 if it had picked up on testing that was not picked up on by the human but was still relevant and pertinent to that particular piece of equipment. And these are the key metrics that came out of it. So Nexa on the left hand side in the orange got a score of 84. ChatGPT a score of 63 and Claude got a score of 73. So this is out of a total score of 96. So it's something like 80 something percent, 82% around that of accuracy, or sorry, 87% accuracy, I believe. So, and then we see on the right hand side, in terms of time frames, it took about approximately a minute for Nexa, ChatGPT, and Claude to generate the test cases, and then on average, the human took approximately 18.5 minutes. So, why did Nexa outperform? Sorry, there now. So why did Nexa outperform these models, these companies that have huge budgets? It's down to that focused training data set. So the groundwork has been laid with these large language models, and it's a matter of training these models and fine tuning them to a state that they are optimized for, in this case, test case generation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the results we got out of our testing as well. So this might be hard to see, but what we're seeing here is so it's a trained version of Nexa versus untrained version of Nexa. So the equipment type is a water bath, and the requirement is the water bath can maintain temperatures from 5 degrees to 99 degrees plus minus 0.2 degrees Celsius. So that's our tolerance. On the left hand side, we see the trained version Nexa. On the right hand side, we see the untrained version. And an initial look at it, it's actually largely quite a similar test case that's generated by both. However, we see there in highlighted on the left-hand side in yellow we're referencing the use of a calibrated thermometer, which is crucial when we're talking about testing equipment. On the right hand side, from the untrained version, we're looking at the temperature indicator. So we can see that Nexa untrained is trying to do the right thing, generate the test case, and make sure that you're looking at the temperature indicator to get your temperature result. But really, a seasoned C&Q engineer will know that it needs to be a calibrated thermometer. We continue on here again. So this is a trained version Nexa versus OpenAI's ChatGPT, and we see we'll actually start to see what's known as hallucinations when it comes to AI models. But we'll also see the efficiency around using a trained version as opposed to an untrained version. So again, the equipment type is a water bath, and this time the requirement is a very, very simple requirement. Verify the functionality and accuracy of the countdown timer. So it's a very simple, narrow focused requirement. So on the left hand side, it's four rows. It's quite a simple test. We're setting the countdown timer. We're checking that it started. We're checking at 5 minutes intervals, and then we're checking that it's accurate within a tolerance. Quite a simple test case. On the right, we're starting to see the first few lines that it does try to do similar in terms of what we're testing on the left hand side in our trained version Nexa. But what we see highlighted in yellow is it starts to test temperatures. Now we understand why it got that, why it's generating that. It's a water bath. Water baths has functionality around temperature, but it's just not relevant here in this particular test case. So that's where we're seeing the benefits of training the model to remove the causes and the implications of hallucinations. So as I said, we're currently validating this tool. And how do you validate an AI model? So what we're doing is we're following ISPE guidance around GAM5 computerized systems. Plus there's guidance and an article from ISPE called the AI/ML maturity model. So in that, there's two main factors. There's control design stages and there's autonomy stages. So for us, we've identified our system as being a stage 3 control design stage. So the system is executing the process automatically, but can be revised by the operator. So we saw that the AI model decided and generated the test case on its own, but the human has the human check on the output. In terms of autonomy stages, we've identified it as a stage 1. So the system is used in a lock state. Updates are performed by manual retraining with new training data sets. So there is no reinforcement learning currently in our current version of it. What we're planning to do is to validate it in a control state that we have version control data sets, version control models, and we validate every time we update the data set and the training and the models. So where does that put us in our validation stage? So it's a validation level 3 because we're control design stage 3 and autonomy stage 1. So essentially our requirements are GAM5 computerized systems plus a few additional requirements. So a documented justification on why a model was selected, training dataset verification, model quality assurance after training, input data monitoring and operation, and retraining procedures defined. So we've got an SOP around retraining, the training data verification. As I say, we're using version control data sets, model quality assurance after training. So that's our accuracy that we complete as part of the validation effort. So we're ticking all the boxes on those. The link to this particular article is actually here in the bottom. If anyone wants the link afterwards, reach out and I can send it on. It's a great resource. So when we started working on this, the first thing that came to our mind was data privacy and security. It is absolutely critical to each organization. Protecting data privacy and security is essential for safeguarding patient information and critical process parameters and intellectual property. There's a regulatory impact as well. So ensuring data protection is not only a regulatory mandate, but it's critical for maintaining the trust and competitiveness of customers. Data leakage using tools like chatbots and other AI platforms requires caution to ensure sensitive data isn't inadvertently shared or used in external model training. And I know some, if not a lot of organizations are just outright not banning the use of tools like ChatGPT when it comes to uploading critical information, because it just is not safe. Key takeaways I'd like you guys to get from this is that synergy between the move to digital validation, and now that we have the power of AI, it's just going to unlock more and more efficiencies and accuracy when it comes to compliance. So there's the efficiencies of the large language models and the generation, as you can see, the time it takes, but there's also we can focus in on the accuracy of these test cases as well, and get over time get more and more accurate and complete test cases. Data privacy security, so ensuring robust data governance to support advanced AI applications, and tailored AI training, so optimizing AI for precision in pharmaceutical processes. And looking ahead, the regulators are, from my experience speaking with them, attending conferences and listening to communications, they're very much of the mind that AI is here, it's not going away, and they want to work with industry to lead the way forward and figure out how we're going to adopt AI in a safe and ethical way. So things like the guidance from ISPE is very important there as well, to give us guidance around validating these types of AI models. I encourage everyone to collaborate and learn. So attending webinars like this is fantastic. Ask questions, reach out. We all need to learn together to figure this all out and to ensure that it works safely and effectively for us. Continuing innovation, emerging technologies will redefine the validation process and increase focus on digital strategies, AI maturity, and paperless validation. So that's it from me. So I believe we're into a Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, Peter, and thank you, Daniel, for the great presentations, all of the great information. We do have about 6 questions currently and a little over 15 minutes to go for the webinar, so this is perfect timing. I will remind everyone, put in your questions for Peter and Daniel in the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. We will get to as many as we possibly can while time allows. I will be taking them from most popular. So most popular and first put in. So go ahead and go in there. Even if you don't have a question, upvote the questions you want to hear about. And those will be the ones that I'm asking first. Again, if we don't get to all of them, you will get an email follow-up in the coming days. What is it, Wednesday? So if not by the end of the week, then first thing on Monday, you'll be getting the follow-up emails that include a copy of the slides that'll will be in those emails, as well as a link to the recording of this webinar so you can watch it again. And then we'll be reaching out next week with the answers to any questions that we don't have. So perfect. We've got a few here that we, yes, welcome, Jeff. We will be sharing the presentation in the coming days. So we've got a couple questions here that are fighting for the top spot. So let me go ahead and start with Juning's question here. I'll show it on the screen. What's the schedule to deploy Nexa for use?
So, great question. We've got 2 companies currently that are piloting it and planning to pilot Nexa. So, we've been developing this internally, as I said, for a year and a half, but we wanted to get it in the hands of external parties to really test it and ensure that it's effective and lives up to what we're claiming. So those partnerships pilots are kicking off in January, and they'll last for about 8 to maybe 10 weeks, and we'll do some assessment afterwards. So we're hoping, and after that, we're hoping to make it available to whoever's interested. So possibly April or May would be a good time for that.
Okay, perfect. And maybe we'll do another webinar to help promote the launch of that. We can always regroup on that, but thank you for that question, Juning. So next one from Saurabh. We have, can you perform a bulk upload of all user requirements?
Yeah, so you so it's not optimized for that. It's something that has come up quite a lot. As you saw, I manually copied and pasted the requirements in. So we're looking at developing the UI to make that more seamless, so that the user requirements kind of pop up to the user automatically once that user requirement document has been uploaded. We're also looking at essentially building out and updating the document ingestion engine to cater for more requirements. One of the drawbacks of, so it's something that comes up a lot as well, is can't I just put in my user requirements, all the requirements in one go, all of my equipment information, and let it rip, and maybe generate an entire protocol in one big go. And what I found in all of my testing is that um, these AI models, even the most advanced ones, they're very good to a paragraph, maybe two paragraphs of text. After that, they start to get very light on detail. They start to get a little bit confused and sometimes misinformation. So currently, with what we're dealing with at the moment, it's the best results have been requirement per requirement, or maybe if there's two or three requirements that are quite closely aligned, or kind of testing the same thing, then putting those three together, you'll generate the test case. So yeah, that's just we're being a little bit cautious when it comes to that. That we're making sure that that the test cases have to be complete, accurate, not missing any information, not including any irrelevant information. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that answer. Next question. I mentioned a lot about manufacturing systems and vaccine manufacturing in the intro here, but is Nexa applicable to any GXP system requiring CSV?
So it's been focused so far on the C&Q space. We've got I'm an automation engineer by trade as well, so I'd love to see it being used in the automation space as well and the CSV space. And it's basically a matter of training it for that. So we're collecting data on our side and developing a data set for the CSV space as well. So it's not currently there, but it will be ultimately.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's a great longer term goal. Another question here. In your opinion, how will the nature of work for validation specialists evolve with this technology being adopted? Love to hear from you, Peter, but then also Daniel, love to get your opinion on this as well.
Yeah, I'd jump in for sure. I think in terms of validation specialists, I think a lot more time is going to be spent on reviewing, tweaking things, looking for efficiencies in other places when they look at these tools. I think in general, I suppose this stands towards AI. It's fantastic. It's an excellent tool, and people should be using AI in general, as well as looking at specialist tools like this. But you have to understand what you're looking to achieve out of it in the first place as well. So I think two of the main things that people will really need to use their time savings for is understanding really deeply what they're supposed to be doing and how they can improve it, and also having a plan about what they're working towards. So I think that'd be my advice in terms of things like this. Use cases, having a deep understanding, not just saying that the tool is right or that it's an easy way out. I think would be my approach to that.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
that's a great
Yes,
point.
sir,
And
go on, Peter.
sorry, yeah. So yeah, and to kind of follow on from that, there is a general concern, and with any new technology, is it going to take my job, etc., etc. And I just don't see it. One, from a purely technical standpoint, to get to the point of like a seasoned C&Q engineer or seasoned CSV engineer, the knowledge that they've built up and the intuition they've built up over their career is just technically impossible to replicate. And I've actually attended recently a conference from Google, and there was a researcher from Google's DeepMind, and they were focusing on clinical imaging and focusing their research on that. And what they found was their best results came when the human and the AI model were working closely together. So that's my genuine opinion. That's where I see this going. It's just this tool to empower the validation engineers.
I think just to follow on from that as well, that, time management and how someone structures and approaches their work, I think will change as we go into the future. As opposed to sinking your time into doing something. You really need to be good at planning out your work, how you're going to approach it as well, and working with the tool. So I think, yeah, definitely understanding it, working with it, and reviewing, and I think as time goes on, we'll have to learn to very deeply critique things, and not just accept them.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that all makes sense. Those are great answers. Thank you. So for the next question, how do you ensure a kind of reproducibility of test script generation for the same test and equipment? Since we've all heard that AI will sometimes have a different answer to the same question or hallucinate or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's and probably the example is that you log into an AI bot and you enter your prompt and you ask it to, in this case, generate a test case. It'll generate a test case. You ask it to with the exact same prompt, and with the same information, or maybe slightly changed, and it's you ask it to generate it again, and it's just different. There's probably information that it didn't include, or maybe it's done in a different way, and it is a challenge. And what we've done is we were able to achieve a lot of reproducibility with the fine tuning, but there's also these things called hyperparameters as well, that go into the kind of configuration of these models, and this scale. It's kind of it's not really black and white. It's very much a scale, and the scale goes from very deterministic to creative in terms of their responses and the type of responses the model will generate. So we're obviously bringing that down to very deterministic. So a combination of these, along with some of the work we've done on the document ingestion engine, has been able to as we've been able to achieve great reproducibility with our test cases so far, anyways. And I'm hoping to really test that with our upcoming pilot studies.
I
Excellent.
think
Excellent.
just to
Yeah,
just
sorry,
to add
go
to
on,
that as
Peyton.
well, just to human checking as well is always going to safeguard against anything there. So like you said, you showed us in the demo, you get to review what's there. So if there is slight differences over time, you'll get to review those out.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it was Harvard Business Review said that AI will not replace people, but people with AI will replace people without AI. And that human element still very important. And I think that goes, to the last couple of questions we've asked or answered. All right. So the next one here from Chelsea: are there plans for development of a similar program or for process validation and/or continued process verification? Peter, I think you might have touched on this one a bit on a previous question, but specifically for these.
Yeah, so it's something that was kind of said at the start of this was use cases. So what we focused on for the time being is C&Q test cases. As I say, we're kind of developing out the roadmap for the CSV space. But yeah, process validation. We haven't really looked too deeply into that, but it's something. It's a space that we'd love to maybe talk to people about, and see what specific use case, where is the maximum value add to this space. I'm sure there's loads of areas, but it's just not something that we've looked at, but we will look at in the near future.
Okay, excellent. And then another one from Surab here. How does the automated test script generation interface with automated testing tools? Is it seamless slash capable for only Neat automated testing solutions?
Good question. I'm assuming this is more on the CSV side. Um, currently, we're just exploring the integration with Neat. We haven't really looked at interfacing with other solutions or anything like that. In terms of automated testing tools, I know from experience there's macros and things like that that can perform automated testing on bulk exports from, say, a Delta V system. So I'm assuming, yeah. So we'll be looking, I suppose, at integration where we've got full control of the application, so we can open it to any other solution really that's available out there, and it's about the maximum value add again to people from these integrations.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we are we're making great headway on these questions, although we still have 7 left to go. So we'll give it another couple minutes here to answer as many as we can. Here's another one from John. Is there any auto upload the criteria requirement rather than copy and paste? Is Nexa free for use or need to pay for, and how much per month? So a few questions in one there, but
Yeah.
tell us about the auto upload.
Yeah, so the auto upload, yeah, that's something that we're looking to build into the user interface. For what we saw today, it was a copy and paste, but we'll be ultimately making that more seamless interface. That is just click the requirement that you want, and it auto picks it. So if you upload all the requirements in one go, say from our example from today, and you put that all into the model in one go, you'd get a mix mash of all sorts of test cases rammed into the one. So yeah, so we'll just be making that a little bit more seamless going forward. So the other point is a free. It's currently not free. It's we have GPUs and servers and things like that to pay for and stuff. We haven't fully commercialized it yet, but we will be commercializing it soon, and probably around the April May June time next year, after our pilot studies have been completed.
Okay, excellent. I do want to take one more question from John here, and then we might have to move on to wrapping it up. But again, I'll remind everyone that any unanswered questions, we will get you answers to, just not live. We'll have Daniel and Peter answer them offline. We'll have a Kneat representative reach out to you with their answer, so you can still get that information. But because John's question here on, how do you access it, segues perfectly into how complex is a procedure for training Nexa. So tell us about how to onboard folks onto Nexa. What does that include?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're currently, it's a bit of a scale as well. So what when we're dealing with organizations, it's kind of SOPs, it's previous test cases, it's maybe just even configuration in terms of how you want the format to be. Do you want it to be a table format? Do you want 5 columns, 4 columns, etc.? What level of detail do you want? So the process in terms of training it is we get the SOPs from the organization, the test cases, previous examples, and any other kind of relevant information. We kind of work through that then, and then we need to process that information into something that can be used to train the model. So it takes, so I've kind of allocated a week, 40 hours essentially for that training procedure for the organizations that we've been dealing with so far. And we haven't seen it go over the 40 hours, say, in terms of training training Nexa. So I hope that kind of answers the question.
I think just to add to that as well, in terms
Yeah.
of training in general for tools, anyone looking at Pharma 4.0 or integrations or working with AI, and you're putting together that integration plan, I think it'd be a very, very worthwhile thing to do, to allocate a X amount of time to training and making sure that the tools that you're using are a lot of time for people to get up to speed on them. So it's something that could easily be skipped over, but it makes a lot of sense to educate the people that are going to be using these tools.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Okay, that is all the questions that we're able to get to right now. More have come in as quickly as we have been able to answer them, but hopefully we got through some good ones there. Daniel, Peter, thank you so much again for joining us. Really great information, and hopefully, uh, people got out of this what they were hoping to. I do want to talk briefly while we have some folks still logged on about Kneat and other upcoming events. We have our Kneat Validate 2025. Validate is our annual conference at Kneat, focusing on digital validation and everything around the industries and projects that use digital validation. This year's theme is accelerating digital maturity. That'll be our focus around most of our talks and our keynote. This year it's happening in Boston, Massachusetts. So we're alternating between happening in Europe and happening in North America. So this year it'll be April 30th to May 1st in Boston, Massachusetts. Registration is open now, so go ahead and early register to get a reduced price, and you can check out all of that information at validateconference.com. In the more nearer term, we are wrapping up the end of the year, so our webinars will start to taper off here until probably mid-January, but we do have another monthly demo coming up at the end of December, or towards the end of December. December 18th, if you want to see Kneat Gx in action from one of our solutions engineers, go ahead and register for that demo. You can find information about that or requesting a one-on-one personalized demo on our website, kneat.com. If you want to come see Kneat in person, or if you're going to be at these events, you can spot Kneat at the ISPE Pharma 4.0 and Annex 1 conference coming up December 10th in Rome. Also on December 10th, but here in the US, the Kennex CSV and CSA University. Kneat will have a presence at both of those, so feel free to come up to our booth if you happen to be there and learn more about Kneat in person from one of our representatives. Of course, you can always follow us on LinkedIn, on X, to get more information about the upcoming events and conferences, and any blog posts, content, anything we have coming out, you can find on our social media there. There's one last QR code here, and I'll put a link in the chat as well for our feedback survey. We love to hear your feedback on the content today, as well as future topics. We're always planning the next couple quarters of webinars ahead, so feel free to send us any topics that you want to hear about, especially do you want to hear more about AI, do you want to hear about CSV, fill out that survey, let us know how we did, how we can improve, and what you want to hear about next. But until then, we really appreciate you joining us and appreciate Daniel and Peter again for their work on these presentations. And we hope to see you again on the next Kneat Insights webinar. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.